Hey, hi everyone. My name is Kevin Strohmeyer, Director of Product Marketing here at Citrix. I look after Zen Desktop and Zen App. We wanted to take some time to kind of review Zen Desktop 7, some of the market drivers for how you can sort of develop some new contacts, some new opportunities, and close some business with Zen Desktop 7, and a focus on our new FlexCast use cases. So first, let's just talk about the market drivers behind Zen Desktop 7. The story hasn't changed now for many years. It's primarily about securing data, ensuring the data can stay safe in the data center, that you have control and knowledge about where that data resides, and keeping them off of local devices. It's also about workforce mobility, making sure that people can be productive wherever they are from any device, and really making it seamless and simple to use for people to get that secure remote access that's so much of a part of the Citrix value proposition. And then finally, this all has to be simple. It makes the lives of IT operations better when you can centralize those applications and data and distribute those as an on-demand service, rather than trying to chase after thousands of individual devices wherever they may be on or off the network. So we have some exciting sort of new positioning that we really believe will help you be successful in selling Zen Desktop. And it's a spin on the FlexCast messaging that we've been using here for the past 4 or 5 years. And the idea is to move it away from just a conversation of delivery technologies, not just education about virtualization technology, but rather turn it on its head and talk about the use cases and why people are adopting this technology that in many cases may be very disparate, depending on the budgets and priorities and the type of contacts that you might be working with inside of a customer. So let me spend just a brief moment sort of discussing these 8 most popular FlexCast use cases. I'll start at the top here with mobilizing apps. And again, this is a classic use case for Citrix, where we host a Windows application in the data center where it can then be accessed from any device. Of course, what's new is that we have this huge inrush of tablets over the last few years that are kind of storming the enterprise, and people want to get access to those same Windows applications from these tablets, but of course they're touch devices, so it takes all the HDX mobile technology to really make that work. The next one that's very exciting is around designers and engineers, folks that have requirements for these heavy 3D applications that may have used workstations in the past, but of course they're tied then to that physical workstation, and IT has to constantly upgrade that workstation to make sure that it has the right software based on whatever projects that CAD operator or designer that might be using. We can now virtualize even the most intensive 3D graphics and keep the massive design data sets secure in the data center, so that now those designers can collaborate with other designers, CAD operators, and complete supply chain around the world without having to shove these massive files around. So really a huge part of the productivity of enabling those companies to get products to market faster using this virtualization technology. Next, we have contractor and partner access. Again, another classic use case where contractors and folks come into your environment that may not be fully vetted. They may not be fully trusted employees. You may not know what devices that they're bringing into your network, and trying to connect your network in order to get the information that they need to be productive for whatever you brought them on board for, or maybe an external auditing or compliance contractors coming in. So data security can be really tough. In the past, maybe you had a fleet of laptops that you would sort of drop on their desk that they could use, but meanwhile, of course, they could be pulling data off and taking that outside of your company. So by centralizing and just giving them access to the applications and data they need completely online, that could be a fantastic way to limit that risk and exposure. We have a number of customers also that use our technology for transforming call centers. And it's not about just getting the best bang for your real estate dollar in being able to have the most efficient call center operations, but a new trend is actually to allow call center operators to be able to work from home just at peak hours to really maximize sort of your customer service benefit, keeping those call volumes down, really being able to drive the business, but with the most efficient technology investment. PC refresh is that classic use case for sort of moving away from that that physical management of a fleet of PCs that ages over time and that constant break fix refresh treadmill that many IT organizations are on, and instead replacing them, either extending the life of those existing PCs by virtualizing the desktop and applications, and then once those PCs do run out of their life cycle, replacing them with very low-cost thin clients, and that's again a very popular use case. We also now have a new use case for corporate laptops using our Zen client technology, where you can continue to distribute and manage that desktop experience even when it's not on the network, and then synchronize that data with the data center, encrypting all that data, and then if anything were to happen to that laptop, you can easily restore that entire image on another device, or simply give those same users access to a desktop hosted online. So very flexible and also secure. Almost done here. We have our remote and branch workers use case. And of course, many workers now are remote. They do want to be able to work from anywhere. We have a fantastic feature called PC Remote Access, where you can simply put an agent on a physical PC that's in the office, and then that would allow remote employees to get access to it using our high-quality HDX user experience and all the security and access policies that are part of Zen Desktop. And of course, you can extend that to entire branches, again, leveraging that centralized security model to really make it fast and efficient to go set up new branches anywhere there's a data connection. And finally, there are many companies who are exploring formal bring your own device programs, but we know that many organizations don't have a formal program, but they do have to deal with that bring your own device phenomenon on a daily basis. So by having centralized application or desktops that they can extend out to their users, it really gives them that flexibility to sort of provide the best support for those users who are going to use their own devices, but still maintain that security posture that's expected by the organization. So I hope I've given you a little flavor of these 8 very popular use cases. And of course, you don't have to remember all this that I just talked about. We do have the solution briefs, design guides, all these materials that we're building up underneath the FlexCast use case success kit that can be found within the success kit structure. So obviously these FlexCast use cases and this wheel that we now call the Wheel of Fortune can be used a lot of different ways. Of course, we want you to use these use cases to help uncover new opportunities and explore who are the different contacts within your customers that may have interest in some of these different use cases. We allow you to use this Wheel of Fortune for introductions and expanding on the leveraging our Zen Desktop App Edition, meaning a lot of those bread and butter Zen app use cases where you don't want to necessarily lead with VDI, but instead lead with sort of that traditional Zen app use case. You can see that many of these use cases absolutely apply to that classic Zen app or now App Edition use case. But we can use this same Wheel of Fortune to help drive trade-up motions from Zen app where we have use cases and pockets of users who would need Zen Desktop Enterprise or Platinum. That could be for, again, these designers and engineers who need that one-to-one GPU power that you get with VDI. Or maybe you've got some call centers that need some specific call telephony integration or VoIP that requires VDI. No problem. We have that technology. You can do full PC refresh to even the most challenging users with persistent desktops and full personalization, where you can add your own applications as an individual user and have those persist across reboot. Of course, we have corporate laptops with Zen Client, so you can really sort of take that full virtual desktop to go as part of your Zen Desktop Enterprise and Platinum license. And then this new use case of remote PC access, where we allow those users to have secure access to a physical PC using the same infrastructure and technology that drives the rest of these use cases. So these are all great ways that you can help drive that trade-up motion. And of course, you can also use any of these use cases to talk about our competitive differentiation over VMware Horizon View, anywhere from mobile Windows apps to Zen Mobile integration. Again, in the materials we provided, there's a full sort of competitive breakout on how we deliver a much broader and better solution to meet these common use cases. Behind this FlexCast content, again, you'll see changes to our website that start to talk about these use cases. You can reinforce that messaging and point your customers to that. We have this great two-pager FlexCast brochure that's available. And again, this can be something that you can sort of easily sort of carry around. You put it in front of a customer, and they may see some of the words or use cases here that helps to hook them and start those conversations. So again, it's an easy tool where you don't have to necessarily remember sort of all these different ins and outs of use cases, but just get those customers hooked with some of the key words here. So let's look at a couple different flows for how you can build some short-term opportunities from existing Zen App and Zen Desktop license holders. First, we're going to look at your existing Zen App license holder, and you're either an Enterprise or Platinum license holder, or Advanced or Fundamentals license holder. For those customers who are Advanced, a Zen App Advanced license holder, they don't have a direct entitlement into the new Zen Desktop 7 platform. So their license isn't going to turn on new functionality in Zen Desktop 7, and so we have to move them into App Edition. So we have the existing trade-up licensing to get to Zen Desktop App Edition, and we have some messaging behind that what we call 7 for 7, or the 7 reasons to move to Zen Desktop 7 to help support that movement, and we'll talk about that a little bit later here in the presentation. But if you've got an Enterprise or Platinum customer, the same thing exists today, that you want to trade them up or expand their use cases, and that's really where sort of the new opportunities come. And we want you to leverage these FlexCast use cases and the conversations behind that to help drive that conversation. So again, whether you're mobilizing Windows apps or sort of driving behind a mobility push for the company, we have this range of sort of interesting and new updates from a product side that can help drive those conversations. And the same thing is true for your Zen Desktop license holders. If they're Enterprise or Platinum license holders, make sure that they are using the licenses they had. If they are not, again, we want to expose those use cases so that we can consume those licenses, uncover new opportunities, and continue to sell new licenses into those customers. And then if they're just a VDI Edition customer, they should realize that when they go to Zen Desktop 7, it's an in-place upgrade for VDI. So it's very simple to get the new Zen Desktop 7 platform. As soon as they perform that in-place upgrade with the controller, they're now just a few radial button clicks away from being able to get the full power of Zen App without doing any infrastructure work. So leverage that capability to help cross-sell them into many of those then app use cases across that FlexCast Wheel of Fortune that I mentioned earlier. So I'm going to quickly just cover a couple of these new feature areas that came in ZenDesktop 7 to help reinforce many of these use cases. The first is HDX Mobile. And again, being able to put a receiver on a mobile device and get access to a Windows desktop or an application, that's not new. There's lots of people who've been doing that. But those that try to do it realize that it's kind of clunky. You've got these applications that were built, for keyboards and mice and big screens, and you try to put those on a mobile device, it can get really hard to use. So we've bridged that technology so that things like edit boxes and keyboard pop-ups, doing a native, picker pop-ups, you can easily scroll through selections to fill out forms and do a lot of the application work that you want to do from a mobile device to make that simple. And that's something we build right into the technology that works out of the box. But we also can enable corporate developers to even refactor some of their existing Windows applications that they do develop in-house in order to really optimize those for mobile devices. And this is work that can be done in a few weeks that really extends and builds upon the infrastructure they've already built today. You don't have to touch databases or you don't have to touch the client-server application, but merely make some adjustments to the front end of that to really be mobile friendly. And we have a full SDK available in order to help developers do that. You've also maybe heard a lot about some of the excitement around the new HDX 3D Pro features, being able to really accelerate any 3D workload at this point. And we have a wide range of technology available that leverages everything from the more casual, maybe supply chain user who needs occasional access to view or edit 3D files, all the way to those intensive engineers and CAD operators who may spend 6, 8, 10 hours a day in front of complex 3D models. All of that is enabled through our technology. We really have the widest range available and truly sort of own this market, if you will, with the best performance and the best sort of price performance among any competitor. Some of the another key driver here is around XP migration. We know that there's a time ticker for many organizations that they'll have to start spending some dollars with Microsoft in order to get extended support for XP after April of 2014. And there won't be security fixes available for XP any longer. So there's both risk and cost in the horizon for many of these customers who just haven't yet migrated off of Windows XP. In many cases for good reason, because they have some applications that they just can't move or are taking a long time to move across, or that require sort of complete rewrites perhaps in order to get there. In the past, we would say, well, if you're going to move down a migration path, you need to do your homework, you need to do the full assessments, you need to look at all your application portfolio, you need to sort of move all of those applications and know the disposition of those applications into the new environment. But for customers who haven't started that process yet or are still stuck, they need to do something a little more dramatic. And so we are proposing that those customers really run a parallel track, that they get users onto the new Windows 7 or a Windows 8.1 desktop, that they start to live in that new environment, that they start to mitigate the risks of running in a complete XP environment, but still leverage XP to run those applications that have to run there. And we can use our new local app access feature so that you can leverage maybe an existing XP desktop and have those XP applications sort of shine through that Windows 7 virtual desktop. Or we can host those XP applications as part of a VM hosted app in the data center and integrate those into a new Windows 7 or 8.1 desktop environment. So a lot of options for how we can run sort of in parallel, and meanwhile use our AppDNA tools to help move those customers customers off, over time. So really, it's kind of providing a lifeboat out there for these customers who have waited and now are looking at increased cost and risk in their future. We have some, again, I talked about some of those options for XP. And then finally, the big message for those that are looking at PC refreshes are to spend less and still get all the same value and security of mobile virtual desktops. Those of you who have been selling in this industry for some time know that virtual desktops were typically a premium, right? You were going to pay more than a typical PC by the time you put all the servers and storage and licensing, behind a virtual desktop environment. In 2013 and now going into 2014, that's really not true. Huge strides have been made in scalability and density and reduction of central storage costs to the point that we really can deliver sort of complete virtual desktops across a wide range of use cases that really in the first year will cost less than just continuing to buy PCs. So really any PC buyer out there, in a corporate environment needs to take another look at desktop virtualization. We're about to have some really great tools available online that really help to step through that cost argument. So, look for those to come across in the next few weeks on Citrix.com, something available to your customers and something you can use with your customers as well. And then the last feature that we'll talk about here is the new integrated remote PC access feature of ZenDesktop. Again, I highlighted that use case earlier where you simply put an agent on your existing physical PCs that are maybe underneath the desk in your office, and that now gets you that full high-quality HDX remote access with all the smart access features of ZenDesktop and NetScaler, all seamlessly integrated for a remote access experience to the highest levels of security. So that could be a really easy way for your existing customers with licenses who maybe aren't using those licenses. This is a sort of a slam dunk use case that you can open up to a wide range of users. Another piece of collateral that we've developed behind this campaign is what we call our 7 for 7, or the 7 reasons to moving to ZenDesktop 7. And it includes not just some of the sort of industry drivers that we've covered earlier in this presentation, but also some of the great features that we've built into ZenDesktop 7 to really make it simple to get the full power of both ZenApp and ZenDesktop in one package with reduced footprint, enhanced scalability, and really making it easy for the administrator to deploy any use case, whether it's app or desktop, from server or desktop OS, all from one console in one sort of smooth motion, as well as the built-in operational tools that make it easy for those organizations to sort of grow in scale. And that's been some of the best received new feature feedback that we've heard from the ZenDesktop 7 release. So let me take a few minutes to talk about some of the call down messaging as part of our Grand Prix activities here. So I've covered that we really want to highlight these key projects or FlexCast use cases, from mobilizing Windows apps to remote access to enterprise PCs. These are all things that are new and topical. Maybe you haven't already covered with your customer before, and so it gives you a great reason to sort of go into some of these new use cases. Again, from a discovery perspective, when you're talking about mobilizing Windows apps, again, you want to talk about the BYOD drivers. Do they have tablets and touch devices coming into their organization? What is their current policy, and what do they know people are doing? What risks do they know they're living with today? Those are all sort of constant strains that we hear, from IT, is the difference between what's in policy and what they're expected to be responsible for, but what they know is going on around them and are sort of powerless to help control it. Again, we give them kind of a lifeline here, with our secure remote access and being able to mobilize those applications, deliver them to any device. So questions here that can help you with that discovery process. Again, with low-cost PC refresh, it's almost guaranteed that any organization you talk to is going to have some kind of a budget set aside for refresh. In many cases, they are overdue for refresh, and by trying to minimize that refresh budget over time, it just means that they have an older fleet of PCs today, which means that they're even more apt to physical breakdowns and are actually spending more money in labor for chasing after that aging fleet. And so you want to ask those questions about, what are they doing to manage those? Is that becoming, a bigger problem over time? What is the age of that fleet? How much of that do they plan to turn over? And then getting into the conversation about, whether it's energy efficiency, environmentally conscious, or, have they completed that full Windows 7 migration? Or even if they're on Windows 7, are they now thinking about 8.1 and thinking about the next, set of changes that have to happen in order to stay up with the ever-advancing Windows roadmap? Of course, we have some great answers to help with all of those issues that can be great entry points for a low-cost PC refresh conversation. If you're talking about virtualizing 3D graphics, again, you really want to get to the business issues here. So, if they're an engineering or manufacturing organization, how does the ability to support the applications and the power and the performance required by their different most valuable users, how does that impact their ability to get product out the door, to make refinements to speed time to market, or to be reactive, to their customers or their vendors. Many times, the folks who are involved in any kind of design work are working with, a number of either subcontractors or other organizations, and they have to share data all the time. And are they comfortable sending these huge design files with all the intellectual property included there, or maybe some, sensitive patient records? Do they really want to send all that data through the network? Or is that data so big that they have to continually wait day after day as they send data back and forth because they can't work on old versions of that data? All of these issues become huge drivers for using virtualization in 3D. And then finally, that remote access use case is, again, a great way. Does the customer have some licenses that they aren't using today? Can it drive that trade-up motion into Zen Desktop Enterprise or Platinum? How do they think about their existing VPN solution? Is it wide open? Is it hard to use? Does that drive a lot of tickets, from their users who are constantly frustrated by the complexity of their current VPN solution? This is a fantastic combined play with both NetScaler and Zen Desktop to really make it simple and seamless to get the full power of whatever they were using on their desktop extended to across the network to any device. Another great driver for this, if there's any kind of local traffic issues or weather issues, things where it's made it hard for employees to get access to the office, that occasional use case can be huge. If you can keep your employees productive in a day when there's a big snow, again, that could make or break, the drivers for this type of a project. Definitely something to explore there. So what are a couple compelling events coming that could help drive these motions? Again, Windows XP NF support comes up in April. At the end of the day, customers really do need to migrate to Windows 7 or 8. There's plenty of customers who are saying, hey, I'm just going to stay on XP, but they have to know that that opens them up to risk because they won't be getting security updates for XP any longer. And to get any sort of support or the right to get support if there were an issue, they're going to have to pay some expensive extended maintenance contracts to Microsoft. So again, big compelling events there. We've got to help those customers get off of XP. And of course, we have some great trade-up pricing already available for XenApp Advanced customers to move them up into the XenDesktop App Edition, so that App Edition pricing is out there, and of course you can leverage that 7-for-7 messaging in order to get there. So we definitely want to provide that. And then, and of course, it's the end of year, and so you want to have that conversation with your customers. Do they have a budget that they need to spend, before end of year, and how can they, sort of leverage the business drivers that are around them behind many of the use cases that we talked about, in order to get some projects in place or start up some projects that are going to really deliver some great benefits for their business and well position the IT value in their organization. So some great things we can do for customers there to help with their planning. So let's talk a little bit about some key contacts. For some of you, you're going to be going back to those sort of Citrix champions within an account. They may be the XenApp admins or the XenApp or XenDesktop buyers. But they may also just be new to Citrix. They could be desktop admins or Windows admins. They could be virtualization administrators. They could be part of an end-user computing organization, or even driving new mobility conversations. We're seeing lots of sort of new organizations and crossover people who are interested in this overall concept of how to make their employees more productive and more secure, in their work life. So we want to expand, search for those expansion opportunities, hit those hot topics, find out if there are unused licenses out there, make sure that they understand how they could leverage the full power of the licenses they have today. And of course, the faster that they get those out, the faster that we'll be able to sell more licenses to them. And across all of this, use that key project or the FlexCast use case messaging to help uncover new opportunities or develop new contacts within accounts who may not have the same purview of the contacts who are using the technology today. So great way to expand those conversations. So a little bit about some XenApp to XenDesktop migration. So hopefully you've all heard that we are absolutely in this migration phase where we have taken the power of XenApp and the use cases and that ability to deliver apps and desktops from Windows Server. And we've now built that into the XenDesktop platform with XenDesktop 7. So we're in this transition where we are bringing customers from the XenApp platform to the XenDesktop platform. And of course, if they have XenApp Enterprise or Platinum licenses, they're going to be able to just consume those licenses in the new platform, getting the same features that they had before. So what are a couple drivers here? First is we know there are many XenApp customers where their applications are running on a particular platform of Windows Server, and there's no sort of driver or ability to necessarily move those applications. And that's fine. We'll continue to support those applications on those platforms, and of course, in App 6.5 and the new feature Pack 2 that we pushed out with the XenDesktop 7, even further extends the life cycle of XenApp to make sure that we're covering the full life cycle of Windows Server 2008 R2. For those customers who want to move to Windows Server 2012, whether it's R1 or now R2, obviously they need to drive to XenDesktop 7 that's only supported in the XenDesktop 7 platform, and so they can start that today. And of course, if they need more licenses, if they're running XenApp, they can buy more XenApp licenses. If they want to buy XenDesktop 7 licenses, obviously all of that is not version specific, so it's going to work sort of across the platform. So there's your customers can continue to buy the way they do today if that's important to them. And then, of course, for any kind of new deployment or new customers, a new opportunity, we really want to stress that that full power FlexCast technology, that they may start with one or two of those use cases, but they really should see the value of leveraging the technology for all of those use cases sort of across the organization over time. So, it's not just a point solution, but making sure that we really sort of sell the full value of what they're getting in the platform. And of course, if you have those customers to say, look, I'm not worried about desktop at all I want is my application virtualization. I want to host applications. I've got some applications I need for remote access, and they understand sort of what they need. We absolutely sell them on Zen Desktop App Edition as that sort of app-specific version that doesn't include the BDI or remote PC access features. So this is just a quick graph covering some of those transition planning that I spoke of. We have Zen App 6.5 Feature Pack 2 throughout the lifecycle of 2008 R2, and then that overlaps Zen Desktop 7 support and then brings you across. The big benefit here is on the Zen Desktop 7 platform, because we have a controller that is separate from the workload servers. Now in one site or one set of farms, I can run anything from Windows XP to Windows Server 2012 R1, all from the same platform, covering 16, 32, 64-bit applications. So this really sort of gets you that future-proofing that customers need for their Windows application needs. And the new Zen Desktop 7.1 that releases this month also supports that new Windows Blue or the 8.1 and Server 2012 R2, SCVMM 2012 R2, and Hyper-V 3. So just within days of release of the new Microsoft platforms, we have full support for the new Zen Desktop 7 platform. Of course, one of the big drivers here with 8.1 is the changes they've made to the user interface to really make it an easier transition from XP or Windows 7 with a boot to desktop mode and sort of an integrated start menu that's a little bit different than what they had with Windows 8. We also know that there is some VMware competition out there, and they're going after a lot of your Zen App customers, pretty hard and trying to get them to trade in or get additional discounts off of Zen App. And of course, this is not a good deal for those customers. VMware is trying to position themselves as embracing Zen App and then extending that value for sort of broader enterprise mobility to mobile devices and to data, but they barely have that feature set, and particularly in comparison to Citrix. Citrix has Zen Mobile and all the integration with NetScaler that comes as part of that experience. VMware does not even have MDM technology. They're limited in their application technology just to a few Android devices. So really doesn't work for BYO or any sort of broad mobility solution. Citrix also has ShareFile that gives you sort of full enterprise sync for application data across any device, and the ability to host that sort of cloud-based storage on site. It doesn't have to live in a cloud, and of course VMware doesn't offer that. They only have sort of a very limited cloud storage option, and you can't have that reside on site. Zen App also requires a lot less infrastructure. If they're trying to move people to VDI, in many cases it's just not appropriate. You need to stay with Zen App, particularly when you're trying to push applications to mobile devices. That's just something that VMware View doesn't do. And of course, maintenance isn't included. They're asking for exchanges from a CCU to user device license. So even the financial benefits really don't hold up with the customer. So if you hear these types of offers coming across, make sure that that you're exposing the customer to some of the pitfalls of that positioning. Of course, we have our existing Trade Up Plus and Trade Up Max programs, and these are all incentives to help customers move from ZenApp to Zen Desktop environment, where they really get the broad licenses to run any of the use cases that we talked about. And again, they can select anywhere from just a portion of their existing licenses to a Trade Up Max, where it's an all-in for advanced discounts. All this information is available to you from our Success Kit. And that brings us to a close.